This tutorial is going to show you how to create logos and graphics that have that Web 2.0 glassy, bubbly look. It's a really simple technique and it's only a few steps, and you can use it for all sorts of things. Let's start by opening Photoshop and creating a new file. We'll choose a 640 by 480 72 pixels per inch file and just click OK. It can be any size you want though. To create some simple shapes, let's just type your name. So I'm going to type Ben, choosing the text tool, clicking on the Photoshop file and typing in B-E-N. You should try and choose a font that's bold. I have a very heavy universe here, so pick something that's bolder. Thinner typefaces don't look too well. Neither do kind of skinny graphics. You kind of want something that's got some weight to it. And if you want to track the type in a little bit or whatever you want to do to make it look better is fine. Then position your type in the middle of your document and go over to your layers palette. Hold down the command or the control key on a PC and create a selection by clicking on the letter T in the layer for your name. You'll notice that the marching ants or the selection appears around your letters, meaning that they've been selected. Create a new layer, and this layer will be where you put your gradients. So if you want to just rename it to say gradients. I usually resize the selection a little bit, reducing it down by 1 pixel. It kind of gives the graphic a little stroke, which adds to its effect. So I go to Select, Modify, Contract, choose 1 pixel. Now, making sure that white is set to be your foreground color. If it's not, you can click on this little arrow or click this icon and then click this arrow. But just get white to be your foreground color. Choose the gradient tool. Make sure that your gradient type is this second one, which is foreground to transparent. And also make sure that you choose the linear gradient, which is the first one in the different types of gradients that you can choose. And when you're happy, just hit return to get out of that window. I'm going to make the bottom gradient first. What I'm going to do is just, wherever you start, it's going to be perfectly white, and as you drag up, it's going to fade to transparent. So I want to start maybe about here, so that it's not coming up immediately from white. And I'm going to hold shift down so I get a straight gradient. I'm going to come up to about 3/4 of the way up my type. If you're not happy with that, it's a good idea to just hit Apple Z to undo and try again. You'll come a little higher there. When you're happy with it, go back to your selection tool, and we're going to subtract from the selection by holding Option down. So holding the Option key puts a little minus sign next to the plus. And then when we click and drag, we've then eliminated half of our selection, which is the bottom half. Let's go back to the gradient. Now this time we're going to make a much more drastic gradient. We're going to come up from the top and come down actually below the type. And this is going to create the effect that we want, which will make our type look sort of glassy. So let's click and drag straight down. And deselect Apple B. And then you can see your glassy type. Again, if you're not happy with it, you can always go back in time, take a few steps back in the history palette or use Apple Z, and maybe don't come down so far. And now I've got some type that looks like it's sort of made out of glass or plastic or something. As an additional effect, I like to put a shadow underneath, and that's a really easy thing to do as well. Let's go over to the Layers palette, click on your name, drag it down to the Duplicate Layer icon, go to the original, which was Ben, and with the black arrow, which is the Move tool, or the Move tool, right? Hit Apple T or Control T, click on the top handlebar, and drag straight down until you've flipped your type over. You might want to resize it to be a little more squashed. And then just click in the middle of your transform bounding box and drag your type down so that you see a mirror image of it below. When you're happy with that, just hit return. And last of all, add a layer mask to your original type layer. Go over to your gradient tool. This time use black as the foreground color. And make sure that you have black to transparent set in your gradient type. Now wherever we click is going to be invisible, and wherever we drag to will be visible. So if we start at the bottom and come up, we are basically going from an invisible shadow to a visible shadow, which is what we want. And this is something you're going to have to test a few times. So drag up. If you like it, that's great. If you don't, hit Apple Z and try again. And keep doing it until you like what you get. And now you've got that full Web 2.0 glassy hip effect that everybody uses these days. Thank you.